Hi everyone, here's an in-depth lap guide of Bathurst in the Pro Mazda. I'm just in a public hosted session here at the moment, but it is default weather, default morning. Just do this in one take as usual, so pardon any errors. So when you're coming down to this final area, I'm braking, there's 3 telegraph poles, you can see them on the right hand side, and I'm braking just after the first one. So when you get past it, you're getting on the brakes there. Now what you want to do is kind of bring the car in tight, but make sure you don't clip that inside curb, as that will bounce you and cost you time. Just get it in close. If you push the car too deep under brakes, then it's very easy to miss the corner and go off and again lose a lot of time. Sorry about the names popping up on the screen. I don't know if there's anything I can do to stop that. I'm in a public session. I'll just go with it. And just flat down this home straight. Now on this right, you're braking around the 50 meter marker, just before it. You can push in a bit deeper, it sort of depends how you want to take the corner, but you've got to focus on, importantly, really getting the apex. If you go past that apex a little bit, you lose time way up the straight. So you're braking and focusing on getting the car into this early apex to give it a good drive out, get it in. And it is deceptive, it looks like it's going to be easy to get, but the way the track cambers off can push the car out wide, and you push it out onto the ripple strip. Now just flat up here obviously. Now I'm braking after the 50 meter marker. And you're kind of bringing the car into a wide left apex, into a wide right apex, not really clipping the curb until later on, and then pushing it out right to the outside apex like that. So braking after 50 meter, throwing it in, you've got to use a lot of force, keeping it tight in there, then just modulating your throttle and keeping it on the track. Although you can get away with getting up on that curb, I tend to not, as it's quite dangerous. Now just flat in through this left-hander. Now, just on exit, you want to get the car out completely wide, so out to that outside barrier, and then sort of in one swooping motion, then bring it back into the inside apex. So you want to carry the momentum. You sweep it in here, out wide, just slightly on the brakes and throw it into this inside apex whilst keeping most of the momentum. If you get a little bit too much speed in there or get it a bit wide, it will run out wide, either into the wall or you'll lose a lot of speed on exit. But if you get it just right, it sort of hugs into that corner and bunkers down. Now, just flat up through here, and you're just remaining flat. Get the front right up near the, get the front right wheel up near this left curb here, just flat. And you can just continue to hold it flat up and close to the left hand curb. Now up here, again flat, just letting the car run out wide and bringing it back into those inside apexes. You want to bring it into the inside apex to minimize the track distance, although it is quite easy flat. Now what I'm doing is letting it run out wide here and using this barrier on the curbing on the right hand side here, using that as kind of a turn-in point. So when you get to that, you turn in and up and touching that inside curb just a tiny bit. This is actually quite an important corner as it lines you up for the dipper. So turning in from there and then up and over this inside curb, you can touch it a little bit but don't throw the car too much. That brings you, I believe this corner is called the dipper, I may be wrong, just my knowledge of it. You're braking a little bit before the coat tyre board. Just a tiny momentum shift. You've really got to throw the car in here and you've got to keep it on a almost tram-like tracks. If you get outside the tracks at all, you're off into the barrier or you're going to have a hard time catching the car. But it's not good either way, so get it close. Use really minimum steering input to get it into this inside wall. So on initial turn in here, you just really want to feather it, because as the track backs away, the back end starts to move out. If you put any sort of lock in here to get it into this apex, the car's just going to spin off and into the wall. So you just slight steering, then front left up on this inside curb, keeping it on the tracks, keeping basically straight lining the set of S-curbs. I've just applied a tiny bit of brake to steady the ship a little bit. You don't necessarily have to, but just feel it out. And braking just a touch down through here, still keeping it fairly right. And then turning into the inside apex here, getting really close to it. And then that lets you get back out. And at this point, once you're into this apex and you kind of, through this corner, you want to stomp hard in the throttle and sort of drive the car out. Why is that going in reverse? Once you get here, you want to stop it. And it feels like you're accelerating for the wall, but the car will hook up and launch you out. So going through here, a dab of brakes into the entry, hold it tight to the right wall, up over the left wall, still slightly touching the brake, back to left, now harden the throttle. And the car will sometimes spin the wheels up. It did a tiny bit there, but I got away with it. Now this corner probably requires the most car control on the track. You are going here, I'm flat early on, but I'm lifting for this corner. I'm focusing through here more on just keeping the car settled. Now you can blast it down at that corner, but you're going to be able to control where you get there, and you're not going to really gain any time. So from this point onwards, just focusing on keeping the car settled. I'm off the throttle. I'm just kind of balancing on the brakes. You've got to have really accurate brake control. No, I'm way under what I would normally use if I'm braking hard into a corner. Nearly spike up near the top, but just on about half brakes. Just sort of, you know, keeping the car steady, keeping it locked under the brakes. Into a very tight inside apex, and then nailing the throttle on exit. Again, you're kind of accelerating towards the wall, but it's the only way to be quick out there. So you're just accelerating down through here. Off the throttle, just on the brakes, holding it tight, and into the inside apex, then harden the throttle. Out towards the wall. Now you just flat down through here. So just holding it flat and following the track line. Now I'm using that, see how that goes yellow to red on the advertising boards? That's the braking marker, braking slightly after it goes red. You can also use the 100, but it's just easier to spot. So brakes red, off throttle, harden the brakes, slowing it. And again, you're sort of lifting off the brakes easily and carrying momentum into the corner. This is another one of those corners you've got to just throw the car in and just jam the throttle on hard and hope it sticks. So you're off the brakes early, into the apex, slightly getting throttle, and then just hard throttle on exit. I do touch the outside curb a little bit. Probably not ideal too, but I got away with it that time. Brake, brake, off the brake, hard throttle. Now we go. Now as before, just focusing on keeping the car steadied into this braking marker. You can lose so much time in here if you try and bomb this braking marker. It's very easy to overshoot the final apex and out into the sand. So you're just braking at an early position. Bringing it in, avoiding that inside curbing. And getting nice and hard in the throttle on exit. That's almost ideal. Not trying to gain too much time here, just not trying to lose any. And that's a lap. It's a 2007. I'll just show you in fast motion.